So I've been getting a lot of emails and a lot of comments lately from a lot of very well-meaning guys who've been reading the site for a long time talking about the quality of my YouTube videos. And before I even kind of dive into this, I just want to say that I really appreciate those emails that I've gotten. The short of it is I understand that the quality is not great, and I actually want to talk about that today as a way to illustrate a style principle that I think a lot of men really could benefit from, and it's something that a lot of us fall guilty of. So if you have been following me for a little while, especially if you've been subscribed to my newsletter, you will probably remember that I sent out an email. It was January of 2014, so nearly 2 years ago, saying that I was planning on starting a YouTube channel. Obviously, if you go back and you look through the history of my videos, it's only been for the last couple of months that I've been doing those. So why the big time difference between when I said I was going to start and when I was planning on starting? Really what it comes down to is I was waiting until things could be perfect. I went and I bought like a little lavalier mic, I bought the tripod and the little phone thing that this is all set up on, and for me that was going to be a start. I recorded a couple and they were really stiff and awkward. I was frustrated because the lighting wasn't good, I didn't have a good background, all these things that kind of kept getting in the way. That's a little bit what I talked about in my video about perfection being overrated, and that was a huge hiccup for me in getting things started with the YouTube channel. I know that my content is good. I also know that the quality of my videos is not fantastic. In fact, two of my good friends are guys who have the most popular men's style YouTube channels, and obviously I get to see the quality of the equipment that they're using, the sound equipment, the backgrounds, the studios and the cameras and all these things, and these guys have a lot that goes into it, and they create really quality content. I'm not at that point yet, and I will get there, but it's kind of fun because really it's indicative of another style principle, because a lot of times men realize that they're kind of at this one point in the spectrum. They know that they want to dress better. There's some sort of catalyst in our lives that makes us decide that we want to dress better. We may spend some time on a forum online, on Reddit or Style Forum. We may spend some time perusing through Tumblr or somebody's Instagram feed or reading blogs like mine, and then kind of see what it is that we aspire to. And then it's really hard to be able to go from point A to point B. As you get more and more adept in your taste, it becomes even harder to bridge that gap because you start to see what those differences are. And there's no way to go from point A to point B without going through everything in between there. You can't just make that jump. And that's exactly the position that I'm in right now with YouTube. I know that when I look back on these videos, and hopefully 6 months, but obviously in 2 years or 5 years, I'm gonna kind of cringe and just think, I can't believe that I was doing that in my living room, or with other videos where I'm just holding my phone, my hands are all shaky because I don't get enough sleep because I have young kids, or all these other things that I can make excuses for, and I did make excuses for it for a year and a half. And what it comes down to is I'm not gonna get better, and the quality of my content, not even the quality of my content, the quality of my production isn't gonna get better unless I keep doing these more and more and more, and I keep putting out more and more videos, and hopefully they will get better. And that's the same thing for you guys as you start to dress better. You're not gonna get to the point where your taste level is until you start moving outside of what your comfort zone is. And there's no way to make that transition seamlessly. There's no way to make it without making mistakes, without feeling uncomfortable. And a lot of times people will call you out on those mistakes. Hopefully you have good guys who are good guys like you who call me out on them from a position of wanting to help me improve, as opposed to other people who will try to pull you back down because they see you starting to excel and starting to do better. But the point is, there's no way to make that transition without going through this weird, awkward in-between phase where I am right now. So take my mistakes with this, take my willingness to say, I'm done worrying about trying to get to that perfect point, because I'm not gonna go spend all this money on equipment and camera, because when I did, even when I just bought this stupid little mic set and this little tripod, all of a sudden I went from just being comfortable and being conversational to being kind of stiff and kind of awkward. I remember doing my first video and I sat here for 2 hours, and it was one dumb little video that was only supposed to be a couple minutes long, and it took forever because it was take after take after take, because I couldn't talk in a conversational way. There was this barrier there that it felt like I was performing instead of just communicating. And really, your clothing is that same way. If you make that transition too much, if you go out and you spend all this money on clothes that don't really, I mean, because you can go buy all the clothing just like I can go buy all the equipment, but then you're being worn by the clothes just like I'm being, I don't know, filmed by the equipment. I don't know what the best comparison for that is. But essentially what it is it doesn't allow you to actually work into the point where your abilities are at that same level as your taste. And believe it or not, there is actually some skill set involved in dressing well. It's not just being able to recognize things, it's not just taste, but it's being able to move in a way that you're comfortable in your clothing so that people understand that this really is inherently part of who you are, as opposed to just putting on a costume and being a mannequin for somebody else's taste and somebody else's style. So don't worry about the fact that you're not going to be great at it. You're probably not going to be great at it for a little while, for a couple months even. It doesn't matter. The point is, as long as you're better at it today than you were yesterday, for me, as long as each video is better than the last, as long as my camera is a little bit less shaky, or I decide to use a tripod, or I get a little bit better lighting, or whatever it is, as long as I'm improving, as long as you're improving, then that's really the thing that matters. I've read something today about not being a perfectionist, but being a greatest, and that's really kind of what we should be aspiring to. Perfection, again, it's overrated. I have a video about that, but greatness is not overrated. It's attainable and it's doable, but you have to go through mediocrity and embarrassment and everything else first before you can get there. So welcome to my mediocrity and my embarrassment. Thank you for sticking along with the ride, and it's going to continue to get better, and hopefully you continue to get better with me, and so we can bounce off of each other with this. So if you like this, let me know, especially if you like the idea of my using this tripod instead of using the shaky cam of just holding it in my hands. But leave a comment, don't forget to hit that like and hit subscribe, and I will talk to you next time.